It was unusual in the 1950s for a very rich young woman to work, but Jackie was not a typical rich woman. Her first job was at the Washington Times-Herald newspaper, answering phones and filing papers. Then a position as the inquiring photographer opened up. Inquiring means asking questions. Right away, Jackie applied for the job, telling the editor that she knew how to use the camera, even though she didn't. She got the job and then signed up for a photography class. On the job, Jackie stopped people on the street and asked them funny questions. She also took their photos, which were published in the paper. Next to their answer, shy, reserved Jackie was able to get people to open up, asking, "Do you think a wife should let her husband think he is smarter than she is?" Or, "Which first lady would you most like to have been?" The job was interesting, and now that school was over, Jackie could go out and enjoy herself at night. At a party, Jackie met a man from New York named John Husted. The two fell in love, and within a month, John asked Jackie to marry him, and Jackie said yes. But Jackie lived in Washington, D.C., and John lived in New York City. Also, John did not make a lot of money. That did not sit well with Jackie's mother. She believed having a lot of money was very important. In time, Jackie's engagement was called off. Then, at a dinner party, Jackie was seated next to a handsome congressman from Massachusetts. His name was John Fitzgerald Kennedy. At 35, John, nicknamed Jack, was 12 years older than Jackie. Yet, they found much to talk about. They both loved history and poetry and traveling. On July 4th, 1952, Jack brought Jackie to meet his family in Hyannis Port on Cape Cod in Massachusetts. The Kennedys were a big, outgoing Irish Catholic family. They loved playing sports like football and softball. Everything was a contest, even conversations at the dinner table. During her first visits, shy Jackie tried to join in, but after breaking her ankle during a touch football game, she stayed on the sidelines. Jackie often sat on the porch chatting with Jack's father, Joseph Kennedy. He was a smart and friendly, and he enjoyed Jackie's company. Jackie and Jack's relationship became more serious when Jackie found out that Jack, now a Massachusetts senator, packed a cold lunch in a paper bag every day. She brought hot lunches to his office. And after Dwight Eisenhower was sworn in as president, Jackie accompanied Jack to the inaugural ball. An inaugural ball is a fancy party to celebrate the day a president begins a new term. What is a senator? The United States Senate, along with the House of Representatives, makes up what is known as Congress. The job of Congress is to make and pass laws. The Senate has 100 people, 2 from each state. Each term in the Senate is for 6 years. A senator can be elected over and over, unlike the president, who can serve no more than 2 terms. To become a senator, a person has to be at least 30 years old, live in the state they want to represent, and have been a United States citizen for at least 9 years. In May 1953, Jackie traveled to England to report on the brand new Queen, 23-year-old Elizabeth II. Around that time, Jack asked Jackie to marry him, but she did not answer right away. Jackie was afraid that being a wife would end her independence. She was afraid that Jack was too old for her. She was afraid that her life would be taken over by politics. And she was afraid that Jack was too independent to be happily married. Jackie gave the marriage proposal a lot of thought. She loved John Kennedy, so, at last, She said yes. The wedding was to take place on September 12th, 1953. Jackie wanted a small ceremony, but the Kennedy family did not. They wanted the wedding to be a public event filled with friends, family, and reporters. There was another problem. Jackie wanted her father to walk her down the aisle. Jackie's mother was very much against this idea, but Jackie won out. However, as her father was dressing for the wedding, Jackie's cousins noticed that he had been drinking. Although Jacques Bouvier insisted that he was okay, the cousins called Janet. Upon hearing this news, Janet forbade him to attend the wedding. Jackie was heartbroken, but kept her feelings inside. She agreed to let Uncle Hughie take her father's place. Outside St. Mary's Church in Newport, Rhode Island, 2,000 people gathered to see the bride and groom. Jackie wore an ivory-colored off-the-shoulder gown. Her veil trailed behind her, and she carried a bouquet of white and pink flowers. Inside the church were 600 guests. Sad that her father was not giving her away, Jackie blinked back tears. After the ceremony, there was a party for over 1,200 people. Jackie and Jack stood for over 3 hours to greet all their guests. Although Jackie smiled for pictures later, she wrote her father telling him that in her heart, he had walked her down the aisle and that had been with her during her very special day. Chapter 4 will be next. You may click on the link to it.